This is an article from last year, but I think it's worth covering anyway. It's a claim that Bitcoin will accelerate global warming from people who have no clue how Bitcoin works. I swear, I wish I could write satire like this. Unfortunately, they're being perfectly serious. The ascent of Bitcoin could boost global warming to 2C in just 2 decades, according to a new analysis. So, when it doesn't, are you going to admit you're wrong, unlike all of the other failed predictions people like you have made? Here's one example of a prediction that you published back in the year 2000. Within a few years, winter snowfall will become a very rare and exciting event. We're really going to get caught out. Snow will probably cause chaos in 20 years' time. Well, here it is about 20 years later. Have you retracted that? Or just deleted it from your site in shame and pretended you never made it so we have to get it from the Wayback Machine? Cryptocurrencies have emerged in recent years as a novel means of completing financial transactions online, but experts have become increasingly concerned about their environmental impact. The demand such currencies place on the energy systems are enormous, and this drives up carbon emissions, which in turn add to the overall global warming effect. Let's get something straight right off the bat. Cryptocurrencies do not demand a certain amount of energy. Theoretically, all of the Bitcoin miners in the world could be 2 VIC-20s, and the difficulty adjustment would still result in a block being solved every 10 minutes. It does not depend on a certain hash rate, therefore it does not depend on any particular amount of energy. A growth in cryptocurrency adoption will not necessitate a growth in cryptocurrency mining. The amount of transactions they can process every second depends solely on how many will fit in a block, not how much hash power is dedicated to them. Anyone who knows the basics of how cryptocurrency works will tell you that. These guys didn't even bother to do some simple research on it. Based on their most conservative appraisal, the team found that the cumulative emissions from Bitcoin would be enough to push global warming beyond 2C in 22 years. If the average rate of technology uptake is used instead, this number is close to 16 years. How many people are mining Bitcoin and how much hash rate they're devoting to it depends entirely on how profitable it is to do so. They'll have to solve a certain number of hashes to get a block reward. How much does the electricity to do this cost, as well as the cost and maintenance of the equipment, versus the value of the block reward? If the latter is greater than the former, people will mine. If it's not, then miners will drop out and the difficulty decrease until mining is profitable again. And by the way, the block reward gets cut in half every 210,000 blocks, which works out to a little less than 4 years, so the benefit of solving a block becomes less and less over time, so it's automatically going to become less profitable to mine as time goes on. Bitcoins are mined in a process that is computationally demanding with heavy hardware requirements. Nope, you could do it on a Mac Plus. It all depends on the difficulty level, which depends on how much hash rate people are putting into mining it. Which means they're putting more money into it, so it's going to depend on their rate of return, which again is going to cut itself in half every 4 years or so. By the way, it's not just The Independent that published this pseudoscientific trash. It was also Vox, The New Republic, Wired, and many others. The fact is, this kind of extrapolation has no scientific validity whatsoever. Any kind of extrapolation, whether it's in climate science or economics or whatever, is bound to be wrong. It assumes that eventually the power demands will increase to infinity, which is of course ridiculous. This is actually a well-documented mistake in scientific analysis, and it's embarrassing that they rely on it so much. Even Mark Twain pointed out how ridiculous this assumption was when he wrote, "In the space of 176 years, the lower Mississippi has shortened itself 242 miles. That is an average of a trifle over 1 mile and a third per year. Therefore, in the old Oolitic Silurian period, just 1 million years ago next November, the lower Mississippi River was upwards of 1,300,000 miles long and stuck out over the Gulf of Mexico like a fishing rod. 742 years from now, the lower Mississippi will be only 1.75 miles long." There is something fascinating about science. One gets such wholesale returns of conjecture out of such a trifling investment of fact. They're also ignoring how much more energy efficient Bitcoin mining is becoming, which is why no one is ever going to try doing it on a Mac Plus even if they had one. GPUs and ASICs are much more efficient. It also ignores how that power is generated. A lot of miners use solar panels specifically to power their rigs, which of course isn't going to put out any carbon. And by the way, how do these authors feel about nuclear power? We have in our hands right now a safe, cheap, carbon-free form of power, and I'm sick and tired of these alarmists attacking everything under the sun when we have a solution just waiting to be implemented, a solution they consistently do their best to impede at every turn. By the way, how much carbon is emitted by the data centers used to run the Federal Reserve System and the other fiat money systems around the world? They didn't seem to want to look at those figures for some reason. This is just fear-mongering to try and scare people away from cryptocurrencies. And they have to do crap like this because they know they can't defend their crappy state fiat money. Well, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to this channel and share my videos everywhere you can because the related videos are being manipulated so smaller YouTubers like me are losing out. And if you want to support me directly, just go to donate.bogosity.tv where you can donate crappy state fiat money with PayPal or use cryptocurrency, and also subscribe on Patreon and Subscribestar, and use the airtime extension to support my videos while you watch and even make a bit of change for yourself. Until next time, stay strong and be free.